Hi, this is Dawn McCoy with Flourish Leadership Group, where I ignite your leadership to the next level. I'm so glad you tuned in for another edition of Leadership Reflections. Love to talk with you about jumping in. And jumping right in is something we don't always talk about, especially because I want you to think about being strategic in your leadership role. But what I want to encourage you to think about is not just being someone who's strategic minded, but thinking about jumping in when you must. Sometimes there are positions or opportunities where you're just going to need to jump right in, and it is not going to be an opportunity for you to think about, wow, how am I going to do this? Let me take a look here. I actually had a question that had come up in recent weeks. It was specific to the opportunity that people have asked me about previously, about how I feel so confident jumping right in. Let me get that question pulled up here. Yes, that's right. It was a question specifically about how I feel confident jumping in when it comes up. And it is because I have had lessons learned and challenges, but also being able to say that I had allies and mentors. I want you to think about that, in fact. Do you have a mentor who can help you really buoy when you need to jump into a leadership position? Two, do you have a circle of friends or trusted allies who you can have to support you? And the next way is to make sure that you're thinking about constantly chasing a rabbit in the track and field world and cross country distance, which I did my years ago. We chased a rabbit, if you will. So someone who was the lead runner who led us out, and we made sure that we were chasing that either person in the record that we were trying to achieve or personal best, obviously trying to get out in a crowded field in track. And so I say that to you as someone who's out there, if you're doing something, thinking about jumping into a leadership role, or you're needing to by necessity, I want you to think about what you can do by getting out there. It is not rocket science. It's not something you have to be overly thinking or making sure that you're doing the right or wrong way. In fact, it's about making sure that you jump in and get in. And jumping in does not have to be complicated. It does not have to be something that is mind-boggling, but in fact, an opportunity for you to get out there. So think about what you can do being in a position of leadership, calling upon a mentor to support you, asking for an ally, confidant, someone who you work with to be able to have that accountability factor. And finally, to make sure that you're thinking about someone who you aspire to be so that you can think about what you can do to be out there in front. Now, I don't say this just on the fly because I too have had my challenges of wanting to get out there and be out there in front of the crowd, if you say. Comfortable out in public, yes, in the speaking realm, but then on the online platform, needing to get comfortable in the last few years. The other is really doing my own personal quest to become tech savvy in the video marketing world. And actually, I'm celebrating 100 of my online videos in the online space. You'll see some information about that on my channel. So be sure to follow me across channels at Dawn McCoy Books to get updates about that. But I had to get comfortable in that video marketing space online in a social media platform, and really thinking about what does that mean and how do I do that and accomplish. So I myself was jumping into a new world of online discussions and formats, and being able to be resourceful with who I called upon and how I leveraged knowledge that I had and really ramped up my skill set. So I want to encourage you, if you're thinking about doing something in a leadership world or getting out there, to think about what you need to do to get out in front. And it is about jumping right in. This is part of what I talk about in my 7-step leadership system, leadership building blocks, to make sure that you are not just thinking about having that vision or that legacy, sort of bookends, but making sure that you are doing all that you can along the way to get yourself out there in front, but also be strategic minded. So when I say jump in, yes, a bit strategic, a little bit on the fly, but also that combination of what leaders need to do to think about how they are going to distinguish themselves. We often think as well of leaders being ones who just set a plan and they're just out there. In fact, some do, but I would encourage all of us to think carefully about how we can be thoughtful as being leaders out there in a space. So that is the message I wanted to share with you just briefly, because I wanted to make sure that folks know that it is important to acknowledge the opportunity to jump out in front, the opportunity to be present, but also needing to jump in when necessary as a leader. Leverage your resources, your mentors, your allies, your confidants, and those in your circles to be able to know when and how. And that's the opportunity for you to think about. So without that, further, I wanted to encourage you to follow me across social, to share this out with friends, to drop in the comments something that has worked for you. Certainly looking forward to hearing from you. Follow me across social at Dawn McCoy Books, Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can catch what I talk about on here, Leadership Reflections, and looking forward to connecting with you yet again. Until we meet again, be enlightened, be enriched, be empowered. Take care.